everyone, this is Eric Glazer, and this is week 4 of your Sharp Squares podcast. Last week was a rough one. This season's been a little bit rough, folks. So far, the Sharps in aggregate were 29-38. That is 44.3%. Our medal games were 2-3. Pick 5, we were 2-3. 3-2-1. We did salvage 3 out of 6 points thanks to the Carolina Panthers, but went 1-2. What does that mean for the season? It's not good. The Sharps in aggregate, get this. This could probably be our slowest start to a season, although that's not official, but you could trust me. 79, 109, and 1. That's all of our Sharps, all the guys who track in aggregate. That's 42%. Our medal game is a little bit better. They're 9-9. Pick 5, we are 7-8. That's unacceptable. 3-1. We've only earned 7 of 19 points. That's 36.8%. We're 4-5 on the win-loss there. All unacceptable. Just to give you a sense of what's going on with the Sharps, the Dream Preview, all those guys combined, 16-27. Our boy Stuckey in the Action Network, over 60% last season. This year, 3-6. Mike Lombardi, probably our all-time highest winning percentage, 4-5. The Favorites Pod, 4-9. Get this, Gil Alexander also had a great season last year, somewhere well above 55%. He is 1-7-1. So it's early, but this is what we're dealing with right now. On the bright side, Marco D'Angelo's 3-0 from Wager Talk. Bet on it. Chris Raybon at the Action Network is 6-3. And Jeff Google's favorite, the Whale Capper, 7-5. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to the information that you probably tune in for. And I am telling you guys, these Sharps that we've been following, most of whom we've been following for 5-6 years, I think they're going to swing it back. I'm going to be patient. Let's be patient together. Here we go. Top picks in a segment we call Gold, Silver, Bronze. And to bring you that important information is everyone's favorite fellow degenerate, the Greg Ross.
Thank you so much, Eric. Week 4, 6 medal games. There are no gold games, which probably is good since the gold record so far this season hasn't been great. There is 1 silver game, and there are 5 bronze games. The silver game, the top-rated game, the pick, it's another exciting one for the audience. They may not even stick around again this week to listen to the bronze picks. They're going to rush to take the Jacksonville Jaguars, plus 6.5, traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. Guys, the Jaguars, I think they've lost like 8 straight games, or Trevor Lawrence has lost 8 straight games. I'm not sure. This week, though, I think I like it. Buy low, sell high. Steve Fezzik, Scott Seidenberg, Stuckey, and Cleve TA all took Jacksonville. Kyle Long was the lone dissenter on the Texans. 5 bronze games, the top-rated bronze game. The pick is the Chicago Bears. They're minus 2.5, welcoming the Rams to Chicago. Adam Chernoff, Chad Millman, Simon Hunter, Steve Fezzik, and Chris Raybon all picked Chicago. Steve Fezzik and Ross Tucker did take the Rams. Second bronze game, the picks, the Indianapolis Colts. They're a home dog, getting 1.5, welcoming the Pittsburgh Steelers. Marco D'Angelo, Chris Raybon, the Favorites podcast all took the Colts. Nobody picked Pittsburgh. The third bronze game, Monday night game, using the DraftKings line, because this has changed a little bit. The picks, the Miami Dolphins, they're minus 0.5 point in Miami, taking on the Tennessee Titans. Mike Lombardi and Marco D'Angelo both picked Miami. Nobody picked Tennessee. Fourth bronze game, the pick, the Detroit Lions. They're minus 3.5, hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Gil Alexander, Kelly Stewart, Adam Chernoff, and Mike Lombardi all picked Detroit. Ross Tucker and Fabian Summer did take Seattle. And the last medal game, also bronze, the picks, the Atlanta Falcons. They're minus 1.5 at home to take on the New Orleans Saints. Adam Chernoff, Stuckey, Cleve TA all picked Atlanta. There was dissent on the Saints from Will Capper and Fabian Summers. So pick 5, it's going to be our top 5 rated games. Really, the Falcons were the 6th game. They barely made medal status. So we have clear pick 5 this week. That's the Jaguars plus 5.5, Bears minus 2.5, Colts plus 1.5, Lions minus 3.5, and Falcons minus 1.5. In 3-2-1, Jaguars still our top rated game as a 3-point game. We're getting a little extra juice there at plus 7. The Dolphins, though, they leap up a little bit because we're plus 1.5 in that pool instead of minus 0.5. So they're our 2-point game. The Dolphins at plus 1.5. And the Bears and Colts were tied at 1. Eric is traveling. He was not part of the decision. I let the ambassador make this choice because it was a literal tie between the Bears and the Colts for the 1-point game. Dave went with the Bears minus 2.5 over the Colts, who were plus 1.5 in that pool. So again, Jags 3, Dolphins 2, Bears 1, and there you have it.
Thanks a lot, Greg. If that is all you are here for, you are now dismissed. And I am the Propfessor. We are here, me and the ambassador, Dave Eby. We are ready to give you the trends of the week. Take it away, Dave.
Thank you, Propfessor. My trend is from Lock and Cash Sports. And that trend is 0-3 teams in week 4 are 51, 34, and 3 against the spread. That's 60%. And the 3 0-3 teams that are playing this weekend, the Jaguars plus 6.5, Bengals minus 4.5, and Titans plus 1.
I'll bring you another trend. It comes from Bet Labs. Since 2003, NFL favorites that are winless against the spread have gone 118, 152, and 10. So a huge sample size, 44%. Those 0-3 ATS favorites in week 4, that is the Texans minus 7, and that is the Titans minus 1.5. So that actually supports the Jags and our Dolphins pick for this week. That is the NFL favorites that are winless against the spread, not doing so well. Meanwhile, since 0-3, the NFL teams that are undefeated against the spread, so those teams that are 3-0, they have gone 37, 52, and 2. That's 42% against the spread. Those 3-0 teams would be the Vikings plus 2.5 and the Steelers minus 2. So that does favor our Colts pick for this week. That is always nice to see. Those are our trends of the week. We'll now send you over back to the ambassador so that we can get started with our handicapping highlights. Give us the Jags and Texans game.
Thanks, Elon. Game 1 is the Jags and the Texans. The spread is Jags plus 6.5. That is our pick. The theme is the Jags aren't as bad as they looked Monday night. And boy, did they look bad. The handicap synopsis, the Jags got annihilated in Buffalo on Monday night. Now they have to travel to Houston on a short week to face C.J. Stroud and the Texans. But the Texans also got blown out on the road last week in Minnesota, so who knows? Steve Fezzik from the Dream Preview has Buffalo 2.5 points better than Houston. So this line, he says, should be 3.5 to 4 points at most, because when the Jags went up to play Buffalo, they had them at the same spread as Houston. So according to him, it doesn't make sense. Scott Seidenberg agrees, and he offered a trend that favors Jacksonville. Teams that lose by 30 or more points and then are dogs of 3 or more points the following week are 89, 50, and 3 against the spread. Stuckey from Action Network thinks there could be some turnover regression for the Jacksonville offense, in a good way, I guess, and he thinks the Jags D can get away with playing man defense in this matchup. Dissent from Kyle Long from Pushing the Pile, and he says, not so fast, Stuckey. The Jags have the 3rd worst pass defense in the NFL. So he thinks Nico Collins, who leads the NFL in receiving yards and is expected to play, should have a big game. Long also says the Jags offense looks terrible, and Gabe Davis and Evan Ingram will both be out. Timestamps, Dream Preview 13:53, Action Network 34:30, and Pushing the Pile 23:23.
Our top bronze game this week, it's the Rams at the Bears. Our pick, the Bears minus 2.5. The theme here, the big win hangover. Coming off a win against the 49ers, this is a very injured Rams team. They are in a tough spot as they're traveling to Soldier Field in Chicago. Handicap synopsis, After a shocking and emotional win against a divisional rival last week, the Rams are limping into Chicago, missing key players on both sides of the football. Awaiting the Rams are Caleb Williams and the Bears. They've shown some promise, some progress. They haven't exactly been able to find the win column in the last couple of weeks since they faced off against the putrid Titans in week 1. Can the Bears take advantage of the Rams' injuries and get back on track? Some of the highlights are from Chris Raybon from the Action Network. He points out that teams who are coming off a 14-point or greater comeback are only 49-70 against the spread. Also, Chad Millman from the Favorites podcast and Chris Raybon from Action Network, they both agree that the Rams are one of the luckier teams so far in the league this season, and that the Bears are one of the unluckiest teams. There was some dissent from Ross Tucker, who is on the Rams for 2 units, but he didn't say why. The timestamps Action Network, 28 minutes and 30 seconds. The Favorites, 25 minutes, 19 seconds. Dream Preview, 1 hour, 1 minute, and 10 seconds. And Even Money, 18 minutes and 15 seconds. This has been your Sharp Squares podcast for week 4. Just remember, we are not sharp, but this is your Sharp Squares podcast.
Good luck out there.